what do we do with the truth, right? When we're all spiritual and love and light, but there's the system. There is the framework that we're put in. There is poverty, there is lack, and I can't just not see that. Or can I? Or does that mean I'm just like an ostrich with my head in the sand, pretending nothing exists and everything's okay and I'm in La La Land? How do we find the balance between the two? Let's dive right in. This video was inspired by a question that I received on my website, actually, in regards to a video that I recently made. And this comes up a lot. I'm sharing a lot of these things and people are like, okay, well, this is La La Land, or this is not realistic, or, well, that's not the world that we live in. And I do have an answer to that, but let me read the question first. So I guess where I struggle is the view that this view is kind of ignoring the system. The whole world's population is coerced to live under worldwide capitalism. The system we're all under is forcing us to earn a living. Millions of people in poverty and millions of workers in constant fear of unemployment, with the ruling class profiting from their labor. It is by design that a few profit while the masses struggle. How should one approach this? Just ignoring this fact of life? First of all, taking a deep inhale in, I want you to become aware of something. As I read this, how's the energy in your body? Right? I read some words that stood out. Capitalism, like even the first, right? The first sentences, we knew what this was about. I can't ignore the system. Frequency. Where's your frequency, right? Is it here or is it here? Right? Just noticing it in your body, forcing us to earn a living. Millions of people in poverty, right? Unemployment, struggle. Where's your frequency when you hear those words? Is it up here? Or is it way down there? Okay. Noticing in your body. There are a few ways that I want to answer this, or rather, several points. One of the bigger ones is that I want you to take yourself out of this for a moment, right? There's absolutely this. Like I said, I see so many comments in my videos talk about this. And I want you to understand something so important. Taking yourself out of this and bring yourself into a dynamic, into a relationship. Bad-mouthing someone else. Keep talking about how that ex ruined your life. It's like consuming poison and hoping that they would get sick. Who's actually getting sick? Okay, who is actually getting sick? I can already feel, okay, I'm trying to be sensitive here because I feel the different energies, the different groups, the different people watching this video, and you guys are all going to have your own perspective depending on where you are in your frequency. Even one person watching this video in high frequency will hear a different thing than a person watching this in lower frequency, okay? And notice that about yourself, where all the solutions can be available to you. I definitely had this recently as I'm going through some massive paperwork, and I had this person come up with me, and I'm reading this email, and I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling like, oh my God, there's overwhelmed. There's so much paperwork. This is a lot. I don't know how to handle it. And they're writing something to me, and I'm like, oh my God, like what, like, it's too much, or, I don't have space for this right now. And when I'm in my high frequency, I was like, oh, they were actually my solution to it. Like they were actually offering something that would, make the process easier. But I can't see it when I'm down here. Okay? I can only see it here, as well as all the other solutions available to me. This is why this is important. I asked you to notice your frequency. So my first question is, when you are committed when you are stubbornly seeing the world as this, and hey, it's difficult, right? Like news, it's gonna push this agenda. You speak to people, a lot of our connections, and this is what I noticed, and this is what I stepped away from, right? Like at the beginning of my journey, this was really difficult, cutting out so many people out of my life, understanding that a lot of these interactions were just about gossip. It was just about, oh, let's struggle together. Like we're together because we have a common enemy. We're together, we get each other. But how difficult life is. And it's all about complaining. And not, milking the joy out of something. No, we're milking the misery out of something. And I had to cut those relationships out of my life. Deep friendships, deep family relationships. Because they didn't serve me. And that's not who I chose to be. Because I knew that I couldn't possibly see opportunity. I couldn't be the person that I came here to be if I'm down here. And I can't be around people, especially at the beginning stages, right? When you're just like, okay, I'm affected by this. Maybe later on when this is your state, you don't feel like people pleasing. You're like, if you're around those people, you can just turn around and go. You don't even have to say anything. And they're like, well, why did you just turn around? Because I didn't want to. This conversation didn't resonate anymore. But at the beginning, we can't do that, right? We feel bad. So noticing, as much as I'm absolutely not saying that, yes, you're choosing it. You are choosing it. It's subconscious or conscious, but you're choosing it. You're choosing to go into this. My question is it serving you? Can you make good decisions from the place of down here? Okay. The next points. Choosing what is it that you're seeing, right? It's like we're forced to earn a living. Is that an absolute truth? I mean, there are so many people they're like, I love what I do. I love what I do. I would do it for free. And I get paid for being me? What? I get to be paid for being of service to the world? I get to be paid to interact with these people every day. Like, oh my God, yes. Honestly, I believe that was like one of my superpowers is that I would have like the worst jobs when I first started, and I was like working at a consulate, and it was this job just like answering the phone, and there are all these angry people that are not getting their passports ready and they need to leave the country, or like the things were super slow. The consulate, like, people are like, they're stranded basically in a foreign country, not having papers. They call you, they're not happy, or printing out documents. It was just, not the best job. I was so excited though. I was excited after a while. I totally went back home crying the first date. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm not competent enough, because like, I had to type really quickly in the documents or whatever. It was like overwhelming. But then, a month later, I was like, I like this job that everybody else hates. They're like, God, this is the worst. I'm like, I like it. I get to talk to these people, they're calling me, they're angry. I get to shift their frequency. So by the end of the call, maybe they feel a little bit better. Like, no, the paper's not there, but I get to raise their frequency, and they have this like, oh, okay, this is the next step for them, for example. So like to ease that process for them. So this doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, well, yeah, but I'm in the job that I don't enjoy, right? What is an aspect of it, though, that you do? Start with the little steps, because some of us we just see it as black and white. And this is a cognitive distortion, by the way, all or nothing, right? I'm either there or I'm not at all. And honestly, the truth with that one is, if your ego is using that one against you, you're never going to be there, because there's always going to be not enough. Okay. So even that, like, is that an absolute truth? Is everyone struggling to make a living? No, a lot of people are okay. And they're enjoying their life. Another aspect of this, the struggle, and this is more of an energetic, and here I feel a lot of you are going to have a problem with this, and that's okay. And that's okay. It's okay if you're triggered by this. I made a video recently about Ho'oponopono. And I addressed how, part of that teaching, part of that practice that transformed my journey completely was taking personal responsibility, and that's the foundation of Ho'oponopono. And as I did that, I was just like sobbing, saying I'm sorry for my childhood, right? It's like, well, I was just a child, and it wasn't my fault, and it wasn't fair. And yet I had to take responsibility for that. And then later on, the guidance, spoken, that's like, hey, you choose those parents. Why did you choose them? Right? because there was a lesson there for you, because you came to embody a particular blueprint, and those were necessary for you to step into you. And yes, your ego interpreted some things in some way, but there were opportunities for you to overcome that, to step into you. That was necessary. You chose this, as traumatic as it may seem. So I want to be really clear that we come in, and you may not resonate with this, and that's completely fine. We come in with a particular blueprint. We know where we choose to incarnate, okay? And understanding that the levels as well, really, if you think of someone, my mentor was just not so long ago in a country that they're not very wealthy people there, okay? And they're like, wow, this person literally has nothing. They have nothing, and they're so happy. And they're so happy to work on the land every single day and connect with it, even though, seemingly they don't own anything, but they're like the happiest person, one of the happiest people I've ever met. And here, so many people in the West, right, have all these things, and we're still not happy. So those things, when we're addressing poverty, or like, oh, poor them, they don't have this, they may not even want that. So noticing the bias that we have. This is just on the mind level, by the way, right? That, like, where's that your judgment that, oh, poor them, and I'm so fortunate they're not. Understanding that whenever you are coming into the story as a victim, poor me, or as a savior, oh, poor them, and what can I do to help? How can I save, right? Whether it's in a global context, whether it's in a one-on-one relationship, you're getting caught up in the story. Your mind's got you, okay? But again, this is just going into the details of your ego story. When you start taking those apart, you actually understand that it doesn't make sense. So the bigger question is your resistance to seeing life as perfect, your resistance to seeing divinity in all that is. Because here's the thing, the shift can never happen from fixating on the problem. The shift doesn't happen from, there's so many things wrong with this, how do we fix that? You're not going to be able to tune into the frequency of the solution that will actually contribute to the well-being of, humanity or yourself or your loved ones when you're fixated on the problem. It's only with, oh, I don't like this. What would the better version of life look like? I want to live in a world where this is true and this is true and that. From that place, from that frequency, you are carried, you are inspired, you have ideas. You're inspired to talk to this person, to create this change, to start an organization, start a donation, whatever. You feel from that, not from fixing, from, oh, the world is so good. This is the vision of the world. This is the vision of my relationship. This is the vision of my life that I want. What story are you repeating to yourself? And these are hard truths. These are really, really hard truths, because honestly, I get this in the shadow work that I did one-on-one. Realizing that you are the one standing in the way of your own happiness is terrifying. So we are there arguing for why the world is wrong, why this is wrong, why no, it doesn't work like that, but I couldn't choose happiness because A, B, C, D, and that's easier than for your ego to admit, man, I'm choosing this. And I get that. I've had to do so much work around this over the years. And it's like, I would rather be right than be happy. That's what the ego says. I'd rather be happy, be right, and be like, these are my limitations and they're very real, than to be happy. Okay? But the ego is that's the subconscious. You have conscious choice, and you get to choose whether you want to be happy or you want to be right. This is a big topic. This comes up a lot. Let me know below. Do be respectful, please. Honor the sacredness of this space, the sacredness of just honoring each other. because this can trigger a lot of people. So let me know below though in the comments. I would really, really love to hear your feedback. And if you want free, well, we actually have several online events also coming up soon, but if you want free practices to strengthen that, especially like I work with the 4 elements from the shamanic practices, check that out below. There's a free resource, really great, just something to listen to, something to open your mind to, like, wow, this is possible for me. I can root that, I can ground into that. Okay, because your frequency is your number one job. You create change. You are here to contribute to humanity from a place of high frequency, from a place of fulfillment, from a place of abundance, not from lack. Okay, so it's your responsibility to come out of that. And that's why free resources down below. Of course, if you want to do this one-on-one, if you need support with this, reach out to me and I see if I have available spots and we can see if this work is in alignment for you and how I can support you on your path. Many blessings.